Hello, my friend.
Hello. How are you?
Um,
Yeah.
you know, I try to figure these things out and I don't do the best job. And then I figure them out like enough. And so, you know,
Oh, I know. I definitely know.
but I'm getting closer. Uh,
I, I think that's admirable.
I'm getting
Uh,
closer. So
every week,
every
little
week,
further along.
little further along, with the technologically situation.
Oh, I love doubles.
Amber, I was just about messaging you on Instagram telling you what the new link is.
I
Because
did that thing where I turned it off and turned it back on again, and it seemed to work.
well, see what happened was I started this Zoom meeting the way I thought I was supposed to, and then
Uh,
I had this whole thing started and live streamed, but it wasn't like the right one. So I don't fucking know, man. Maybe, just maybe next week, this will be the way. So excited about this. Cool. Google Calendar has been updated with the right link for people to join. So, hi everyone again. Here we are. And I see we have your same daughter in the background who
yes,
may have
a
enjoyed the conversation last time or something. I don't know.
little bit.
All right, all
She got
right.
tattooed today, so she's all kinds of amped.
Mm. What'd you do on her?
Wanted to show it.
Yeah.
Sure. It's not done yet, but we have to get the kids off the bus.
Typical artist. It's not done yet. So, I've got to explain why I don't like it. Nah, that's fucking rad.
Thank you.
Hell yeah. That's fucking sick.
Resemble the kids. It's three
I
butterflies for her three children. The basic white girl thing.
I want
I
you all
know
to know
you're
that
not
I
even there.
cannot ever see a butterfly tattoo in the rest of my life for years now without immediately in my head singing "Butterfly in the Sky." I can go twice as
Absolutely.
high. And then I really want to watch Reading Rainbow. So
I love that. Honestly, what it made me think of was that meme going around where the bird got the guy's arms tattooed on his wings.
I
yes,
saw that.
I love that. Not really related, but it's still awesome. Well, hell yeah. Nice to see you again. What's your daughter's name again?
Tessa.
Tessa. Nice to see
I
you
was
again,
Tessa
Tessa.
Ann in the chat.
Oh. Wow.
She popped into the chat to tell you I couldn't get on.
Oh yeah, see, I don't have that chat. That's the old one. So
Okay.
yeah, try and write something in the chat now and see. Because now I have it up. I swear, man, I'm gonna figure this out. I feel like such an old man with this shit sometimes. It's so frustrating. I think I'm doing good, and then nope. But I mean, that's kind of lifey, how you think you're doing good, and then nope. And then
Yes.
you're doing good, and then nope.
You think you're not doing good, and then all of a sudden, yay.
Right. Totally. So it's a weird ride, as we know, this life thing. So Dusty, how have you been, my sweet dear?
I'm doing okay. I am currently on a Christmas high. I got the rest of my shopping done today. I had the day off work and I forced myself to not book something on my day off. And
Mm.
then yeah, I went to finish a couple little Christmas shopping things, and that turned into spending about 5 times as much money as I anticipated because I kept seeing stuff and I'm like, ooh, so and so would like blank. And we did Secret
Mhm.
Santa at our shop to ensure that we wouldn't just buy for everybody and go overboard. And I bought something for everybody anyways. And it was not a bad thing though. Very holiday spirit surging in me now. So I think that's a good thing. I hope.
I dig.
That reminds me, I need you and Robbie to both Instagram message me your addresses.
I
Oh,
shall. I shall.
I can do that. Yeah,
Christmas surprises abound.
I love Christmas surprises.
it's a hit, man.
Yeah, I just had a lot of Christmas going on because we just went to Universal.
Oh, I
Yeah.
saw your stories.
Yeah.
I'm jealous. Donna had stressed repeatedly to me, like, no, it's like minimum capacity. And I was like, okay, I've been there on slower days. No, you were there with like 12 people.
Yeah,
That was
bro.
it. It was
Yes.
insane.
Like you don't realize how different it is. Like I don't go to the parks typically on regular days now because like you get in at 5 p.m. for this event and just the few hours between 5 p.m. and 7 or 8 is too much for me to handle. So like we barely even like the first night we went there at like 5:30, the second night we went there at like 7 because we were just ready to get the fuck out of like get into the regular capacity being diminished. Because I think it's like 10% capacity. It's ridiculous how
Wow.
little
Yeah, it was so in your guys' stories and stuff. There was no one there. It was crazy.
Yeah, yeah, and like the Harry Potter worlds. So in Hogsmeade, it's a little bit more busy because Hogsmeade is very small, whereas Diagon Alley and Nocturne Alley are pretty big. So like you definitely have way more shoulder to shoulder in Hogsmeade, but like when you go to Diagon Alley, it's pretty rad. It's wild. Like
I would love to go to Nocturne Alley.
it's so cool. It's so fucking cool. Honestly, like I haven't been a Harry Potter nerd and I'm really still not one. But I enjoy it so much. It's just so much fun. Like you literally do step into the fucking movies. And like when we walked down to Diagon Alley this time, it really does look like straight brick wall, and then you turn the corner and you're walking through the brick walls.
Yeah.
So I didn't even realize that aspect of it until this time. And there's always new things you pick up every time you're there. It's really cool.
I think it was the third time I was there that I found Nocturne Alley. And it was literally because it's pretty legitimately hidden. And we happened to just turn the wrong corner and we're like, oh crap, what's this random alley? And then found like the Death Eater stuff at that store and everything. It was super fun.
Did you see the little tattoo shop?
Yeah.
Yeah.
My favorite thing ever, and you guys had posted this. I went once in November to a buddy's wedding in Florida and had an extra day. We went to Universal, did all that stuff. The hot butter beer that they serve like hot chocolate. Oof. Magic.
Oh. Bro, so like the first time I went, I fell in love with butterbeer. I was like, ooh, butterbeer is tasty. And then I went back one of the next few times and got hot butterbeer. And I was like, Then I got frozen butterbeer. And I'm like, all right, I don't know what I like the best. This time I decided 1,000,000% hot butterbeer is far superior to cold or frozen butterbeer. Like far superior. Hot butterbeer is the man. So
have you done the butterbeer ice cream at the, I can't think of the name of it, but the ice cream shop there?
The little ice cream shop. I think I've done it before. I usually never go to that place because it's always got a line. So like certain things with the Orlando Informer event will end up having a line. That ice cream shop is typically one of them. Just because it's fucking free. And when do you get free things from anywhere? So
Yeah. Especially Disney.
Well, Universal, Disney, all of it. It's all
Any of them. They're not big on free stuff.
Yep. So that's why it's really cool that the Orlando Informer, all the food and all the drink, aside from alcohol, is all free. And the alcoholic drinks, they like have bars set up on the streets, and they're really not super crazy priced. So it was really insane. It was a super cool time. I fucking love it. It's the only time I like to go to the parks anymore. So you know, that's kind of like I've gotten kind of spoiled. Well, not kind of. I've gotten very spoiled in that respect. So, but you know, what shall we talk about today, kids?
No.
What do you want to talk about, Robbie?
The only thing that keeps coming up to me is kind of like and not in a religious fashion, but blessings. That word
Yeah.
just keeps coming up for me. Blessings keeps coming up. And like, how they come to you, and how like it that, you know, I was like, well, sometimes you're good, and then you know, I don't know where you're bad, and you're like, well, sometimes you're bad, and then I don't know where you're good. And it's weird when you have these blessings, because blessings come in so many different forms. And like when you ask the universe for something, and then it grants you your wish, right? But then it
Yeah.
grants you your wish, kind of like that crooked ass fucking genie, and
Hmm.
like is like, well, you know, you said you wanted $100, so I gave you
Yeah.
$100, like dear, ha 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 ha. You know, so like,
This is right though.
so it's kind of the way the universe gives you blessings sometimes. You know, we're like, hey, you get everything you want, but you've got to fucking endure something that like you really, 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 really don't want, in
Yeah.
order to pay for this blessing. So it's just interesting how blessings come in very many different fashions, it seems. And like, I'm experiencing something right now, involving TV stuff that I'm really not sure how much liberty I am to talk about it right yet. We're like, if this goes through, it's a blessing that I get that I have to pay for. And that is,
I think I already am picking up what you're putting down there.
yeah, you know, I just found out about it today. So I've talked to no one about it except for my one man Chico. And that's because I needed to call him and be like, yo, I don't want to do this. And he's like, if you call me and ask me for this, and then you don't go along with it, with what I say, don't be my friend anymore. Like, follow my advice or don't be my friend. Because you called me for advice, and this is what I'm fucking telling you. So it was interesting, because I don't really know if it was as much ego, fear, control issues, like I want it this way, I don't want it that way. So it's interesting how like these blessings will pop up on you and you're like, oh, but wait, I don't really like sucking dick, and I gotta suck dick for this a little bit, but it's so much more worth that, you know, like. So it's just interesting how life comes at you in different ways, and you have to fucking surrender, especially if you want the
Yes.
thing. Wanting the things is interesting. And it's like, how bad do you want it? I got your back, but look at this. So yeah. And I'm sure we all have things like that. And for me, the questions were like I said, is it ego? Am I passing up an opportunity if I say no to this? And why would I say no to this? What opportunity am I passing up? What opportunities for healing could actually show up? What kind of things does the universe have set up for me on the other side of saying yes that I'm not seeing because I'm stuck in the, well, what if I say no? And how can I live with myself if I say no? Because am I going to want this opportunity more than I want to say no? Hopefully that's followable.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of what I've gone through at the brunt of today. Aside from having back pain, which could also be a blessing, because
You're a tattooer. That's like saying I'm breathing today.
Yeah.
right. And like I've always had this, it always comes and gets me, and just comes every so often. And so that was the fun part about Universal too. I was in the fucking scooter thing most of the weekend because I was having a really hard time walking because my back hurts bad. But the cool thing is, I'm gonna go get a massage tonight. And if I wasn't having this back pain, it wouldn't have been so necessary for me to go get a massage. So blessings in disguise. You know, you're handed this pain to be relieved by making action. So yeah, and then I think about like inaction and action, and like how many things aren't getting done, how many of life's goals aren't getting hit because of inaction. You know, how much of this pain is also due to inaction. Yes, I go to the chiropractor every week, but I don't get massaged as often as I should. I've got 8 credits at this massage place, which is 8 hours of massage waiting for me because I pay every
Well,
month for
happily take a few of those off your hands.
Yeah, I was
right.
about to
Like,
say.
like what the fuck? And so that's the interesting thing. Like, you know, how much do we already fucking have that we take for granted and we don't actually dive into or take advantage of? You know, so yeah, I've given a lot of topics. So share the conversation with me if y'all will.
I think a big part of it is I think action is necessary. That whole idea of like you can literally build up credits at this massage place, but when it's finally time for action and you do go, you remember how much it makes you feel better and stuff. And it's funny that a lot of times the catalyst for action does hinge around just discomfort and how much, like in this case, literal discomfort that of like, fuck, my back hurts, I gotta go get a backiotomy. But there is a lot of like with the other thing you were talking about, you know, you have to peel some band-aids sometimes to get to a place of like, okay, at the best case scenario, it hands me more, you know, blessings was the term you used, it hands me more to get to X, Y, and Z. At the worst case scenario, I try something, it doesn't work out, I'm back where I'm at. You know, there's not a whole lot of situations unless you're in like vesting or something weird like that where you're going to actively tank yourself. So it's kind of like, hey, I'm going to do this thing. Worst case scenario, it fizzles and here I am. Best case scenario, it just opens more doors and it's a lot of discomfort and it's a lot of bleh to get there. You know, and I've been practicing a lot of that recently with just clear communication with people. A lot of times it's so much more of an annoyance to have to be the one to be like, hey, this is the elephant in the room and address things, but it really does get you to better places and it does force that growth. And that's kind of where I've been feeling it. It sounds like you might be feeling it in a bigger way with the news that you got today, but it's something that we all go through. But it's so funny that on the back end of things, when you do face that discomfort and get there, that it's such a like, I don't know, it's things are more worth it when you do have to struggle or when you do have to leave your comfort zone and you achieve and accomplish and you're like, oh, this is tight. And I got there. You know, I couldn't imagine a world where everything is just handed to you. And, you know, a really good example is I got myself a little lost because I was just straight up zoning out today. And I went to an area of Dayton that I never really go to go to the store. And I'm just cruising down Colonel Glenn Boulevard. It's this big, like by the Air Force Base road. And they did some construction and the right lane forces you to turn right now. And I completely zoned out until I looked up and the light turned green. And I'm like, fuck, I'm in this right turn only. And I know that we have GPS. And I was like, you know, it's only 4. I got a while to get home. I'm going to see if I can't wiggle myself back around. And I did. It's such a stupid, small version of that story of like forcing yourself out of your comfort zone. And like, I felt way cooler that I got home and I was like, oh, I still remember how to drive in my, you know, town that I live in without a GPS and get somewhere. It's such a minute flex, but I'm like, hey, I did it. So you kind of have to sometimes.
Yeah. No, totally. Yeah. When we were house shopping a while ago, my realtor, we were trying to figure out what quote was from what movie, and he was like, hey, let's not Google this, let's figure this out.
Yeah.
You know, very similar to the GPS thing or no GPS thing. Like I try to like not Google things and try to remember, you know, like let's try and remember what this is. Let's work our memories. And it's like flexing that muscle of, you know, I know where I'm going. That's a flex. It's like you said, it's weird. And it's like the little win. You're like, fuck yeah, man, I did this.
Yeah. And the worst case scenario, I ended up a town over and I'm like, fuck, I gotta use my GPS now. I'm out $3 in gas in 15 minutes of my life. So it's not like you're really, you know, setting yourself up. And I know some people that do take some big risks We've all been there. I mean, shit, this weekend, I have tattooed for many years, actively avoiding realism, and I'm kind of getting thrown into it now. And I did a portrait of a girl's dog recently that it needs a little TLC because we kind of ran low on time. And there's a few spots that I was like, hey, I want to go back and hit up all the traditional stuff around it a little harder. Came out super cool though. So then
saw that one.
having actively out of thousands and thousands of tattoos done maybe under 10 realism pieces ever, I'm like, fuck it, let's try a color portrait. And my cousin's like, hey, I got this old picture of you and me as kids, do it. And I'm like, okay, cool. He double dog dared me. So rather than easing in with a celebrity or something easy, I'm just like, cool, let me just do this really sentimental 2 color portraits in one using a bad old reference from Olin Mills in like the 1990s. And I want to go back and do a few little things to it, but it came out solid. He freaking loves it. He was about to cry. It came out solid. I want to see it healed because I definitely rocked this dude's leg for like 5 hours straight, but just did it. And I was like, man, the worst case scenario, it's not good and we'll do something funny to it. But you know, and that tattoos are permanent. It's a little more higher stakes, but the fact that it came out even solid, I'm like, shit, that was way out of my comfort zone. I'm not mad about it.
I did a little happy dance in my head when I saw it because I know how you feel about color portraits, and I was like, or just realism in general.
Yeah, way better than black and gray though. Black and gray, my brain does not get at all.
Really, dude. So for me, it was the other way around. I was way easier at black and gray portraits to start. Color portraits have always scared me. I'm just almost 30 years of tattooing. I'm just now getting comfortable with skin tones. It's taken me
here. Let me ask you this, because I think I figured out what my issue is. You have done paintings before. I know you said you don't love to paint, or not that you don't love to paint, that you're like very like, my art, whatever. But I've seen you paint and I've seen them be good. Do you do oil or acrylic?
I do acrylic, but I'm thinking about getting into oil because like it doesn't dry. And so you can actually blend things better. So yeah.
Now see,
I know acrylic better. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm thinking
so Amber,
about
do you
getting
oil
into
or
because
acrylic?
oil scares me.
Right. I've always been scared of oil and I didn't even know why.
And that's funny because I am scared of oil. That's exactly what you said. It doesn't dry. There's no.
You have to have patience with it.
I'm not a patient human being. And if I can look at a color reference and go, okay, these tones are that, these tones are that, these tones are that, it's going to heal up a little different, but I can grab out my like 800 color bottles and be like, one of these is bound to be close and just make it work. I can look at it and be like, okay, that's kind of like a tealy blue. I've got 8 different tealy blues here. Let's rock it. Worst case scenario, I double dip into 2 and we make it work. Black and gray is like, you have to trust that that's going to heal up lighter. And in the case of like your 2-drop or your light gray, if you use a wash kit or whatever, like days, like, well, when it's healed, it's going to be way lighter. And you have to not only feel confident in knowing that you can work with that and that you know how it's going to heal, but also confident enough to reassure your client, yes, it looks dark right now. I promise it's going to heal up looking way different. And it is such a exercise in patience and trust and being reassured of yourself that you can be like, that's the sweet spot there. I know how it's going to heal. And I can't do that. It terrifies me. So I have to be like, cool, flesh tones, boom, there they are. They'll heal up a little lighter, but it looks like it's what it's supposed to look like.
Yeah. So I'm weird with that too. Cause like I've been using Starbright for quite a few years now. And I use their gray kit, their gray wash kit, and I use black and their lightest gray, and then I add water to a couple of drops of their lightest gray. And like that's my 3-step gray process that I've developed over the years. And it works.
Did just grab the solid ink, like I'm falling in love with solid ink, and they make an opaque gray kit. And I did just grab that because I am starting to learn that you can do that and literally use grays instead of like all black washes. But the way I always learned was, you know, you put in your drops and then you add your witch hazel or whatever, and like you've got literal like gray wash, like black wash basically.
Right.
And I'll watch dudes like Joey Brenner that I know and love like pour them out and just go ape shit, and it just looks super black that day. And I'm like, it's super contrasty, okay. And then you see it come in even a week later when it's mostly in the healing phase, and there's all these different tones, and it's beautiful. And I'm just like, I don't know how you knew what was what, or how you trusted yourself enough to know that you did it right. And you just made all of this tone and dimension in this art with just 5 caps of what looks like black. Like, here's more liquidy black. And it's such a weird trust. And like,
Right.
that's why acrylics just boom, it's there, it's dry. Blow on it for 5 seconds, it's done.
Right. Like, and so it's weird. It's really odd how I can blend so well on skin, where it doesn't move at all. But like acrylics, I can blend it decently, but that's why I want to get into more oil, because I feel like I can get much smoother blends. Or maybe not. Maybe I won't. Who knows? But it's funny. Like, I've been getting into painting more. Again, it's a roller coaster with painting, and lately, so I took on a couple of commissions. I've got one commission that I sent out recently, and another one that I have my easel set up in my living room, and I got to get started and finished on that one. But yeah, like, I painted my kid's whole bedroom in all murals. Like, I love doing it. It's just, and there's the blessings that you get from painting. You pay for them emotionally through the process of creating the painting. Because
Yes.
as fun as it can be to paint, it's still painstaking. And there's like
Yes.
always this fear. Like when I sent out my last commission, like, is it finished? Did I do a good enough job? Is he gonna like it? You know, is he gonna notice everything that I noticed that could be better? You know, like, and you know, instead he receives the painting, he hangs it up, makes a post about it, talks about how great it was. The whole process, he was like, thank you so much. I fucking love this thing. It's fucking beautiful. You did a great job. And like, I'm still waiting for him to message me and be like, hey man, you robbed me. You know?
This is related but unrelated. I saw there's an Instagram that I follow called Good News Dog, and it's literally just posts nothing but videos and stuff of like stories that make you smile and laugh. And there was a couple that had both commissioned this artist to make paintings for each other, unbeknowing to the other one. Like, they're both like, oh, this is going to be my gift for our anniversary to my wife. And then the wife is like, oh, this is my anniversary gift to my wife. And I guess their prompts and their stuff that they gave the artist was similar enough that the artist just made one big painting. Like, they had both commissioned like maybe like a 8x10 size, whatever. He did one big one using both their prompts. And they made a post about how, kind of like you were saying, but essentially they were like, I'm terrified they're going to think I robbed them because I only did one painting, or that I'm, you know, messing them up because I didn't, you know, they wanted X, Y, and Z, and they wanted Y, Z, and Q, and I, you know, smashed them together.
You X,
And
Y, and Z instead of making,
yeah, you know, so they're like really nervous about this whole thing, and they end up doing it anyways, and they go for it. And somebody else got on tape this couple walking this art show, both of them thinking, oh, I'm going to see the painting that I, you know, commissioned, and I'm going to get to be the cool guy to my wife and be like, oh, hey, you know, that's your painting. And they're both got this look on their face that they're both going to get to flex and be like, I had that made for you. And they look at this painting, and it's like a really painful long 12 seconds that feels like an eternity of both of them kind of looking at it, looking at each other, waiting for the other one to be like, wait, did you have that made for me? And the other one is like looking at them like that I had it made for them. And then they both realize this artist took their ideas and made one big painting, and they both like cry and they hug and they love it so much, and it ends up so good for the artist that they're like stoked on it. But it's just really fun to watch the artist stress, because it's something we all go through, of like is this person going to like it? Or that, you know, we have people that come to us and specifically say, I like your work. I like your style. I want what you want to do. And we're still,
Mhm.
you know, enough of insecure jerks to be like, do they though? Oh, you know, and like we agonize over that. So it was funny to watch an artist in another medium agonize the same way we do, but then to watch these
Yes.
two people, this added fun of like both of them think they got something for the other one, and then they realize they did it together, and it's like it's just a cool, goofy, fun moment.
No,
But
that's beautiful. And that's not stuff you get to do as an artist. You don't get those serendipities all the time.
yeah,
So like, that's a beautiful serendipity to fucking be able to jump in on. Yeah, dude, that's fucking I'd love to do that to somebody. Like that's super fucking
right.
cool, you know? But I can only imagine the panic. Like, dude, I just finished this back piece. I posted it recently, the past few days. It was that big tree.
Yeah,
So that was the last session on it. And we finished. Well, so I stopped around like 8:10. And I was like, yeah, I think I'm good to call it done. And she goes, oh, you're done with me already? I didn't expect it to be done right now. And I was like, dude, I felt like it was an immediate fucking like magnifying glass onto the things that I could have also done. And I was like, okay, sit down. So we went for another hour because I was like, well, fuck. All right. Well, there are things I could be doing to this that I was going to let them lie and let it be good. But I was like, you know what? Let me go back in there and resaturate here. Let me go back in there and do that there. So it was really interesting. But like, there was a couple of moments there where I felt like, oh, is she going to be unhappy with this tattoo now? Because I was about to finish the last session a little bit earlier than she expected, you know? And like, if reality's sake, well, yeah, we go to 10 o'clock sometimes. That's because the piece isn't finished. So I want to like keep going and try and finish as much as I can. But this time it was like pretty fucking finished, and it could have lived without that extra hour. But that extra hour was like me feeling guilty for not giving her everything that I could have given her. And I felt like she called me out on that. So I was like, oh, well, you gotta give her what she wants now, fucker. You're being a real piece of shit by not. So
Tessa was doing that earlier. She's like, are we starting on the third butterfly already? And I'm like, yeah. She's like, that went really quick. I'm like, you got the most basic white girl tattoo you could. It's not going to take me all that long.
for real, it's funny. It's funny when you like, when you feel attacked by that, you know, like,
Yeah.
I guess I'm not doing it good enough. And, you know, really the truth of the matter is we always are. We always
Truth
are.
of the matter is she's got great skin that sucks up the ink real quick, and it doesn't take much to get it in there. Is the truth
Yeah.
of the matter.
I fucking love that. That is fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love perfect skin when it just
Oh my
sucks
God.
right in.
It's so good. So good. Yeah. And for those of you who aren't tattooers, yes. There is different skin types, and some take the ink better than others.
Yes.
FYI. But yeah.
Also, FYI, if you're listening and you're not a tattooer, because I love this, even if your skin is great, there are parts of your body that just kind of suck the tattoo on. And so, you know, there's a lot to consider when you're like, oh, this will just be a small, quick one. If you say arm, I get really excited. And then if you hold up the inside of your bicep here, I get really bummed out.
You get that drop of heart. Like, oh,
you
that
did,
part is
but
see, I don't really do small tattoos anymore. So I'm like, well, if you want a small tattoo from me, you pay my day rate. And that's kind of a waste. So why don't we do something large, huh? How about that? Let's do that instead. And usually it gets the people to go bigger. Or certain things like I'm tattooing on a charity day. I'll be like, come in on charity day. I'll do you then.
yeah. And that is something that I love the shop I'm at now, because there's 5 of us and everybody does something pretty different. This guy Will that tattoos there, he reminds me so much of Billy at your shop, that he will break out markers a lot and draw stuff, and he will do even like full blown, like he did a Frankenstein portrait that took him a good 2 or 3 hours. It's hand size. It's all black and gray. It's all stipple. Like he'll do a lot of stipple, but like blending and textures with it, and like kind of reminds me of that. Aura does a lot of black and gray realism. I do a lot of color trad. Like everybody kind of has their vibe, and we're really big on, oh, you want that? Let me send you to so and so.
Yep.
Or, you know, like you said, come in on charity day or do that. So we'll, you know, we always work around it. But I was speaking more to the people that, you know, like I would never go to the mechanic and be like, oh, it's just a brake thing. It'll be whatever. Like, I'm like, hey, you're the mechanic. You know what's wrong with my car. I'm going to shut up and listen to you. So when people do come in and they're like, oh, it'll only take 20 minutes. I'm like, I'm glad you know. So.
Dude, I had one person. So he couldn't sit for more than an hour, and that's with a break every 5 minutes. Then we used TKTX on him his second session. Still couldn't sit for shit. And like kept trying to rush the process. His mom and dad both came in and were also trying to rush my process. And Dusty, you've seen me tattoo. I tattoo fast.
Yeah, you tattoo fast as fuck.
And these fuckers couldn't accept the fact that it was going to take a whole 3 to 4 hours to cover one side of his chest. And if he sat still, it would actually go a lot quicker.
Yeah.
And like, I think now he's gotten to the point where the tattoo looks finished enough for him, because I haven't seen him in like 2 years. And so, you know,
I love that the shop that I work at now is across the street from a car lot. Because that is like I probably sound like a dick when I say this, but when people come in and they're like, well, how much is a neck tattoo or whatever, I can be like, hey, go across the street and ask them how much a car is.
Yep.
Like, yeah. You know, like, I mean, there's so many factors, and it is physical and mental and emotional, and like, how are you going to sit for this? How much input do you want on it? Do you trust my judgment to just have something dope and we roll with it? The one I did, that dog portrait on the girl, she reached out. She was like, no, I'm asking you because I like your work. Right. And that was like a portrait of her dog that she loves and is like in its teens, with the name, with the floral, with the frame, and literally every single part of it. She was just like, okay, cool.
Yeah, no
like,
pressure.
You want to change anything? The color scheme, anything. She's like, no, I told you I like what you're, you know, but you also get people that come in and it's the little palm size traditional that should take an hour or two that they're like, well, you know, let's change the red to a pink because, you know, and they want to tell you everything and they want to whatever. And it's like, dude, that might take longer just because you're sitting here explaining why you even are getting the tattoo, which I'm cool to listen to. And I always love chatting and powwowing, but like,
yeah,
that adds time, you know, when you're going to say, oh, this is just a 15-minute tattoo. I'm like, damn, I'm glad it takes me longer than 15 minutes to set up. I don't know where you're coming from.
Dude, it's funny. Like, so since I've started doing these blackouts way more recently, they've blown up on the social media on multiple platforms. So I'm getting a lot of requests for it. And you see like the people are like, how much an hour to do a blackout? It's like, well, it's per session. You know, I can cover a whole arm in roughly 4 hours or so, but you pay for the full day session. You know, like I use at least a roll or two of paper towels on you. I use basically a half a bottle of fucking black ink. You know, like everything I'm using here is quite high. And like, I'm going to get it black as fuck. And not a lot of people can do that right off rip. And so I got this one guy, he's booked an appointment, and I don't know how many other blackout appointments I have booked, but I just saw him today in the schedule. And I remember him hitting me up on social media and being like, my artist refuses to use anything bigger than an 11 mag, and I keep tapping due to pain, and it's not fucking black. I need your help. And this dude didn't argue through the fucking process of booking. Like, I would have known because my manager would have reached out and said, yo, this guy. And nope, he booked, he went in, and he's fucking ready to go and like do it the way that I know I can do it, rather than trying to be nickel and dimey and like, look, man, you want it black as fuck? And let me do it black as fuck. So it's really interesting how so to go with blessings, right? You want the tattoo that your artist is going to bless you with, but you want to fucking control the process so much that it is no longer a blessing from your artist. Now it is an orchestrated product from you that your artist, you know, you put your hand up his ass and fucking puppet mastered it. So
Yeah.
it's very interesting how you know, those clients, the longer I've been doing it, the more I value the people that not just sit down, shut up and do it my way, but like love and appreciate who I am and what I bring to the table and say, hey, I want this for that. And I'm willing to do that with you.
And it's very crazy to me because I like, especially with you, you've been tattooing for what, like shit, 30 years?
The 27
And
years, yeah.
yeah, so who's counting?
Yeah.
You know, you've been tattooing as long as some of these clients have been alive. You've been on TV for it, you've been on Inked for it, you've got Reinventing going, like you are super well known and you are in a price range that is like realistic but not cheap by any means. Like
Right.
everything about you screams, hey, you know who I am, you came to me for a reason. There's like the fucking Mortal Kombat ladder of tattoo artists in Melbourne, let alone at your shop, that like you're fucking Shang Tsung at the top, and people went out of their way to like agree to a price point and to go with these things to get you. And it's so much like mind-blowing when you get these people that then want to like you said, puppet master and nickel and dime on these things and all of this stuff, that it's like I couldn't imagine going to like fucking Chef Boyardee's house and being like, I really wanted fucking, you know, like German food. Like
Right.
it's such Chef Boyardee being a real human in this instance.
Right. This is
you
too
know,
Italian for me, chef. All right. Like,
oh, you know, you go to Little Caesars and be like, I really wanted a burger. I
right.
guess like, why would they seek out you to? And I get it with certain, like, granted, you know, I've been back at it for, you know, a handful of years now, and I've been doing this stuff, and I kind of do a little bit of everything, and I won't shy away from small stuff, but I'll even get people that are like, oh, I love all of the super color blended traditional stuff you do. I really want to go with you. And then come in and want like a fucking line work, whatever. And I like doing line work, so I'll do it. But I'm like, why did you send
Tell
me
me you
8
wanted to
references
finish
of X, Y, and Z and ask me for X, Y, and Z and fucking specifically like I've had people send me photos of my own tattoos. Like, I loved this. And then they come in and want something completely different. And I'm like, why did
Yeah,
what?
they don't connect.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
And you know that like I feel like I've done it to myself to a degree. I don't know if you can say the same, but so TBM, Tattoo Business Mastery, I took that. And really one of the biggest takeaways is standing in your power and like knowing who you are and how you operate. And I haven't done that most of my career. Most of my career, I've been like, well, you want it this way, I can do it that way. Oh, you want this style, I can do that style. And like
Yeah.
at this point, I'm like, well, you know, that doesn't fucking light me up. I want to do things that set me on fire with excitement. So, you know,
And I think it's balance,
right. There is a balance
because
to it as well.
there have been people that have come in that have wanted something just a little different or to tweak something. And it's maybe not like, oh, I'm hoping to do it hand size, full color, what have you. Like even the girl with the dog portrait, that tattoo came out super rad. She was a really cool lady. She brought us in Trace Leche's cake the next day. Everything about that was like a fun experience. She got an awesome tattoo. She paid, you know, what I'm worth. Like everything was cool. Her dog is super white. So I was very like, why don't we do the dog in black and gray, even though I hate black and gray? Why don't we do the dog black and gray? Because it's a white dog. It's going to do it justice. And it's going to make all of this colorful ass traditional around it pop like a motherfucker. And she's like, nah, I love my dog so much. And I don't think not doing it in color will do it justice. And I'm like, okay, cool. It's still, you know, I rolled with her. The tattoo came out great. It was pretty much all black and gray anyways, just with blue tones, whatever. Life is fine. I think we've all had those clients that we're willing to like flex with them a little bit, but you're absolutely right about the who you are and how you operate thing, that sometimes people just come in and want to completely flip it on you. And it's hard in the heat of the moment to know that you're going to, if you're like, no, you're going to bum somebody out, because I'm super guilty of being a people pleaser. And I know you are, at least to an extent too. You're worried that they may fucking bail, and then you don't get paid and you don't tattoo at all. Like there's so many fears that go into it, but it is, you know, sometimes, yeah, you just have to roll with that and be like, hey, this is how it is. Somebody else here can do a better job, or maybe you just need to think more about what you want because you're completely changing your idea. It's hard to not fall into that people pleaser aspect though, of just being like, yeah, I'll do it. And then you do a tattoo that you don't really love and you didn't really want to do, and bleh.
Go to Target. Let me know if you need anything. Hi, Dusty.
Hi.
You and Jaden both came in here really weird.
Jaden's like asleep.
Okay.
Do you need anything from Target? Text me.
Nah, bro, I'm good. I
Okay.
love you. They both just came in here and they both looked like odd. And Donna just took my phone and then brought it back. I'm like, what the fuck is going on with these two? So yeah, usually that means like something bad happened and they're afraid of how I'm gonna react because they don't want to like disappoint me or upset me. And I'm like, okay, you guys gonna disappoint me right quick? Like, just give me the bad news already. I'll be fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's wild how like you still get the people that you love, you appreciate, they're awesome. The tattoo turned out great, but they still needed a little bit of control that you weren't so willing to give, but you kind of do. Yeah, I've been there.
We're pushovers.
Yeah, you know, and
Yeah.
the thing, dude, I mean, I've been getting tattooed a lot lately, and I appreciate a million times more the artist that'll let me have some input rather than it's like, fuck you, I want it this way. Because like I have a tattoo like that I got in the past year and a half, and I'm like, I really wanted it to be more like this, and I just let him do it his way, and now the tattoo doesn't have the personality
you
I
wanted.
wanted it to have. Yeah, like it should have had more personality than that, and it had that artist style. Like, I like your style, but I like this personality that I wanted for this image, so maybe I shouldn't have chosen you. You know, so things like that. So even being a tattooer that's done it most of my life, you still make some decisions where you kind of could have made different decisions.
I love designing a tattoo like 90 to 95% of the way there, and being like, these are the things, like these are the hills I want to die on. This is the design I want to do. Here is blank, blank, and blank. And if we're being perfectly honest, and I'll tell my clients this, if I spend 8 hours designing something that's perfect and they don't love it, that's like 8 hours of my life that's gone. If I spend 2 hours designing it and it's like almost there, but it's not quite done, then I can take it into them and be like, here's my vision, put in your tweaks and let's finish it.
Right.
And then we'll run with it. And then I feel like they got a little bit of say. They're going to be happier with the main product. There have definitely been, it's not a balanced number, the amount of times that people have made changes that I was like, okay, but I didn't love, versus the amount of times. There have been a few where they've made a change that I like don't love, and then I do it and I'm like, that's way fucking cooler than what I had. You know, at Rubber City in Akron last year, I did a brown panther with pink flowers on a girl, and she was sweet as pie, but I had designed this really cool black panther with like blue highlights and undertones, and it was really gnarly. And she's like, I really want to do him brown, and I'm like, there was no brown panthers. And then we did the tattoo, and it's such a cool tattoo. Like, she was right. And I will absolutely give her that all day long. So, you know, it works out. But yeah, something about having it almost all the way there and letting them get their little shots in and feel heard seems to sit well with me.
Well, dude,
sometimes they take way too many shots though.
Yeah, sometimes. Like, and I so when Rock was doing my Paul Wall portrait on the inside of my arm, I expected him to have an image designed. And, you know, because we spoke about it the day before, and then the next day we come into the shop, and he's like, yeah, no, I'm still thinking, you know, gonna put it together. And then like I was like backing away from him and like on eggshells a lot. And I was like, do you want my input? And he's like, man, honestly, I want to sit down and design this tattoo with you. And I was like, oh, okay, well, that's cool. Like, and so, you know, and there were certain things that, like, if I would push and he wasn't willing to move, be like, okay, cool, you can have that. Like, you're giving me all this other stuff. you know, you can have this. And, you know, it's super cool. And the whole time I told him, I said, the rest of the arm is going to be Florida wildlife. So like, instead of just Paul Wall, he's got this fucking, you know, this flamingo floaty with a palm tree.
Yeah.
Fucking like, you know, the pink neon stuff going on. And like, I was thinking something totally different for this whole image. And he's got the, you know, the close up, like Polaroid postcard type picture with the grill. And I'm like, wow, that kind of feels like a welcome to Florida postcard image type thing.
Mhm.
You know, so like he created the image that would flow with me, my body, the rest of my arm. And it was just a really cool experience. So I definitely feel a lot more open to giving with my clients more now. But like I said, I only kind of do a certain specific, you know, way of things anymore. So it's like,
Yeah.
if we're doing a giant piece, most of my clients are like, I want this. Like my one homie, he wanted this whole like angel of death thing. And I was like, yeah, well, what if we just like zoom in on a fucking crazy hooded skull like this one? And he's like, yeah, that's sick. Fuck yeah, let's do it. Everything I say is a fuck yeah to this dude. And I'm so stoked about it. And like, there you go. There's the blessings, right? You didn't expect the homie was going to be like, yo, do whatever you want. Basically, I want you to be happy because that's going to make this art so much better. And like, the less I go in with an anti-person attitude, the more the people that I'm tattooing are going to give me those blessings. You know, because
Yes.
a lot of the time I'll be like, oh, fuck this. You know, I'm not really into this idea and this and that and this and that. But like, really, the people are going to be fucking stoked. You know, it's kind of like what we were telling you, Amber, a while ago. The people come to you for a fucking reason. They love you. They love what you're doing. The people come to us all for a reason. And I'm at a position where people don't just typically fall into my seat anymore. I'm not usually available as easily as I used to be. The price point's much higher. I'm kind of pickier with like, I want to do only large scale. You give me a great story. So it's easier to fall into a big tattoo that you have to plan out rather than just walking in and getting a quick banger. And it's kind of hard sometimes to like step out of that old mindset of being a walk-in artist, because I've been a walk-in artist most of my life. So, you know, it's weird. I guess not anymore. I probably haven't been a walk-in artist for many, many, many years now. But like I lived that for so long at the beginning that like that was core memory stuff with tattooing.
Yeah.
You hold that mentality though. You can
Yes.
tell, because like even the last time, or not the last time I was down there, the time before that, where you ended up tattooing Alexis and you guys did that cover up, it was very, what do you like? Okay, give me tonight to think about it. And then you just like, here's a couple images I printed, here's some Sharpies, whatever, let's roll. Like you can still, and it's a good muscle to flex. Like you should still always be able to roll with stuff on the fly. And just, I mean, it was still bonkers to me that you ended up sitting in to do that tattoo we did together at the Tampa convention, where the guy, like I did the Rick from Rick and Morty, and he just wanted like Aurora Borealis behind it. And I had sold him on that because he's like, I don't want just like the normal green portal stuff. I want something spacey. And I was like, let's just do literal space, but let's do these bright colors. And Susan was going to do that. We were going to do like a collaboration, and I got the Rick done. She got booked, and you just sit in and literally we're just like, oh, Aurora Borealis is this colors. Pour out like 12 caps, dip in with a mag, brush it on, and go, yeah, cool. And then just tattoo it. Like it is such an admirable and dope skill to have that you can literally just see it in your head and roll with it. And even if you're not like a walk-in artist, like you have that spirit about you all day.
Yeah.
You can literally just pull some shit out of your ass and roll with it. And you know in your head what the vision is well enough to execute it. And thankfully you're also a cool enough dude that you can sell them on it so easily that you're like, here's my idea, it's going to be sweet, do you trust me? And people are like, yeah, I do. Here's thousands of dollars to scar me for a whole day, it'll go great. And then it does go great, and people are super stoked.
And you know, so the lady that owns the business next to my shop, her son died quite a few years ago, and she's been waiting to get his portrait for a while. And she told me that my confidence that I exuded was the reason why she trusted me to do this portrait. Now I'm over here uncomfortable as fuck because she's very particular and she's an intimidating little lady. So, and she's so sweet and so nice and always bakes us things. But like, I was like, fuck, man, you thought I was confident? You actually made me a bit nervous. So I'm glad. And I think it's the years of being a walk-in artist. And like you said, having that walk-in artist spirit with me. It's funny because that's turned into my style. My style is I don't create unless it's time to create. And if it's not time to create, I'm not creating. And yesterday night wasn't the time to create. It's today that the tattoo is. So we create today.
Yeah.
And it's so wild how, I've turned that into like a skill and a superpower because I used to view that as like a setback. I was very good friends with Sean Duffy for a long period of time there. We were traveling around together a lot, and this dude fucking plans everything out. And like I would watch him. I'm like, how the fuck do you do that? Like I can't plan it out the night before, days before, the week before. Like, gotta do it day of, man. And like, even if that means I've got to panic for about an hour to figure it out, I'd rather do that than draw 50 different cantations of something and then only like one of them. It's really
Yeah.
tattoo
I like
art is odd.
to draw beforehand. Sometimes I'll just pull it out of my ass, but I like to draw it and just fill it in with solid colors and show them and be like, there'll be depth and shading, I promise. And then just make it up as I go. And same deal, roll with what I'm feeling. Because I've done a few pieces, whether it's with watercolors or Procreate or acrylics or whatever, where you color it like this is where my shading is going to be. This is where my highlights. That shit takes like your whole ass day. And unless somebody is paying me my $1,000 for my day to draw their tattoo beforehand, like I can't bring myself to put that much of my life into it. Plus, then by the time you're done, you're drained and you don't even want to do the tattoo the next day. So yeah, I'll put like a good hour or two into mostly drawing it and then literally just drag and drop colors over and be like, yeah, the flowers will be red, leaves will be green. We'll figure it out.
And it's weird too, because like I noticed early on in my artistic career that I am much better at just whipping colors out of my brain than whole construct, right? Like creating the piece line work style is different for me than getting a line work and then just shading it the way it's supposed to be done in my head. So like for years I was like, oh man, it's cheating if I take an image that's already there and then create it differently the way I would do it. And then one year I'm at the Tampa show and my very good friend, he's like, hey man, you're really good at just taking a flat image and like making it dimensional and stuff. And I was like, wow, I always thought I was cheating. You're telling me I'm good at that. Holy shit. So like now I use that. Like I was strictly Sharpie for a very long time, unless it was portraiture. And now like, man, I'm like one of these young kids with my iPad some days. I'm like, oh, well, I'm gonna whip this up on my iPad, grab this image and doodly doodly doo, erase it, warp and change and shift and desaturate and hey. And it's like, wow, that's actually kind of cool too. Like I was telling you, the one homie that he let me do the zoomed in skull. That was a really cool skull that I found on the internet. And I was like, all right, I want to work off of this as a base. And he's like, yeah, I want this war paint and this and that. I'm like, that's fucking great. And then by the time I'm done with the tattoo, yeah, if you've seen the original image, you'd be like, oh, wow, you did take it out of that. But like, it looks totally like a different fucking tattoo with the same, bare bones situation there. So it's really interesting, like how as artists, we beat ourselves up for the process a lot of the time, if it's not exactly the way we think that process should be. Because
yes,
I really don't find it necessary to draw a skull from scratch if I'm going to find one off the internet and then do it totally different the way I do things, rather than back in the day. I was like, well, if I don't draw it, when I was on Ink Master, dude, I had to fucking draw everything. And the one thing I didn't draw was Oriental Day. And that was the most praises they gave me. I stole an image that, was already there and they loved the way I added my flair to it and did this. And I was like, huh, wow, that's weird. They didn't crucify me for not drawing the original. And furthermore, nobody knows if you drew the original or not, unless unless you're stealing original artwork drawn by somebody else.
That
But,
makes me feel a little better about the koi dragon I have coming up.
right, you know, like you got to think about it. You're gonna do things the way you're gonna do things, and if you're not blatantly stealing like a piece of shit, if you're stealing like an artist, then that's way positive. Steal like an artist. Is the name of the book. It's a great
There's
book.
only so many Japanese koi fish out there.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna draw one that looks like a dick because I'm not good at drawing koi fish. I'm gonna fucking take a koi fish that doesn't look like a dick.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna go
exactly.
ahead and fucking
Yeah.
tattoo that because I
And
draw
if you-
koi fish that look like dicks on accident. Like,
And if
I'm
you
not
put
good at it.
your spin on it, then it'll be
Right.
fucking rad and everything will be
Yeah.
fine.
Right. So I know this turned into a tattoo talk podcast today.
Yeah.
But we
Yeah, I
have
feel-
feelings about tattoos because we're tattooers.
Right. And that's the thing, you know, I feel like this is a very valuable session for somebody like, you know, myself at this point, but even more so 10 years ago, 20 years ago, when, you know, right before I was on Ink Master, Josh Hibbard was on the season before me, who was also on my season. They crucified him because he didn't draw anything. And like, here we are, you know, 10 years later or so.
And
And-
nobody's drawn anything. They're all
Nobody-
doing it on Procreate.
Dude, I've had young artists be like, look what I drew. I'd be like, okay, did you draw that or did you create it on Procreate? Props either way. But listen here, player, like if you didn't draw that fucking rib cage, you know, like it's less impressive to me. So just
Yeah.
remember that. But at the same time, when it comes to the tattoo, doesn't really fucking matter. So like I still get hung up on some of that shit. You know, like my old crusty tat god comes out and says, "Wow, more black, we need to draw," you know, and it's like, really? You know, like efficiency. My clients a lot of the time don't care if I fucking procreate the tattoo and it takes 3 hours less than if I'm gonna fucking freehand draw it on their skin.
It's
Yeah.
it's kind of wild sometimes too, because like it all lends itself to different styles. And that is where I will give all of the props in the world to new school guys. Like, which is funny because we call it new school, even though we were calling it new school in like 1998 when I got my first tattoo, and it's not
No,
really
it's-
the new school anymore.
No,
no.
Fucking
School
2 decades
versus
ago school
old
tattoos.
school. Old new school,
But
yeah.
it will be like
Like
if
middle
you're doing
school
trad,
now.
right? If you're doing trad, there's only so many fucking roses. It's circles with little fucking humps
Right,
and then
right.
pointy leaves. And you can do like 82 different itinerations of it, but it's kind of the same thing. And I
Yeah.
can sit here with my eyes closed and draw a fucking traditional rose with a pen and pencil at this point because I drew so many of them. And there's a lot of kids that are younger now that just have a Procreate stamp for traditional roses and they bloop. And at the end of the day, they kind of, if you can have a steady hand, make dope line work and saturate the fuck out of it, it's gonna look good either way.
Right.
But on the flip side, realism are the fucking, you know, push my glasses up, you know, tattoo artists that are kind of like, oh, I photorealism. Really, at the end of the day, you'll tweak a photo, you'll, you know, play with the contrast, pull the values a little differently, but you're just taking a photo and copying it. And you're doing again, if you know how to use your machine and you know your tools and you know blending and you know how to not fuck up skin, because if you're doing photorealism, you're probably going for hours and hours. You're gonna make a dope tattoo, but it's not like you drew this guy's aunt. She just fucking existed and someone took a bomb ass photo of her. And there's little nuances to like, well, you know, the photo doesn't quite have the top of her head. We're gonna brush it off this way, but you're kind of equally on that same playing ground. And new school has always been that style to me that like, that looks nothing like a fucking owl. It looks like a cartoon caricature. You pulled that shit out of your brain. You drew it from your mind. There was maybe like a photo reference from National Geographic, but like those are always the dudes. And I've watched fucking Aldo from New Mexico. You know him, Robbie. He was in TBM and all that. Like that dude, watching him design stuff is bonkers because he just fucking draws these weird, crazy things. I think I told this story on here one time before, but a guy came into aisle 9 when I still worked there, and he talked to Joey Brenner about getting a semi truck tattooed on him because his dad was a semi driver. And this dude just drew a semi truck from memory. And it was, to this day, the craziest thing I've seen artistically, because I could tell you like the shape of a semi
I
truck.
can't draw one of those. Fuck that.
I'm like,
Yeah.
it's like a fucking square, and it's got the spikes and the long end on the back. Like,
Draw a new
this
school
dude
one.
just knew what a semi truck looked like and took out a pen and paper and drew it, and that's nuts to me.
Right.
That
Yeah.
he even remembered what it looked like. But same thing with Aldo when he's drawn. He did a pink flamingo with a raven's head on roller skate Crocs on Josh with like a day's notice, and just drew that shit whole ass leg size, and it won tattoo a day at the convention we were at. Like, it was one of the tightest tattoos I've seen in years, and like, you just drew it from memory. So like the new school guys and all that, they intimidate me, they scare me. I like their work, but I don't want to talk to them because I've got nothing to say that isn't just like, ow, and then I run away. But they're fucking awesome.
Well, dude, it's funny because like new school was like my seat at the table for a very long time. I've been doing new school since people were saying, obviously, I don't want it cartoony when they looked at my portfolio that was nothing but cartoony things. So like it's been weird because I always loved drawing my weird shit. But like
Yeah.
now I'm a different artist as I was 5 years ago, 10 years ago. Like right now I'm very passionate about blackouts. I never thought I would be. Realism is probably second in line for my passion. And then new school kind of takes that third. But like,
Yeah.
I noticed that new school is something I love, but like it wasn't what I needed to do every day as things went on. And like when somebody brought me like a Zoidberg, I did Zoidberg Jesus. And
Oh,
like
I've seen it.
when
Yeah.
I did that tattoo and I did 3 different drawings on his skin that I hated all in Sharpie until I just fucking found a Zoidberg Jesus off of online, took that outline, took the image, put it in Tattoo Stencil app, and then made it the way I would make something. I was like, wow, instead of making this like Robbie new school wacky, giant head things, like, no, I like this image the way it sits. And then I'm going to add to it. Whereas 10 years ago, it would have had to been completely drawn by Robbie, and like when I drew 3 different things on this guy and it didn't feel right or look right to me. And I couldn't get the size right. I kept making it too huge. I was like, dude, this is fucking stupid. Why am I wasting all this time? And look at the way your face was when I brought up that tattoo. You knew it and it looked like you liked it. So I was
Yeah.
like, well, obviously I'm doing something right if I'm evolving with who I am as an artist. Because it's really funny. Like, I feel like new school is something I have in my toolbox now, but I don't feel like a new school artist the way I used to, which is really odd because I fought so hard for that. And like, I fought very hard for that, but also suppressed the want to do realism because I had a couple artists tell me you shouldn't do realism because it's not who you are. And I'm like, no, how about I just do everything I want to do? And that's who I
Yeah, I
am
was
now.
about to say, who are they to tell you who you are?
Right. And that's one of the things I learned. Sometimes artists will tell you to stay in your lane because they're intimidated and they don't want you coming and taking their crown. Sometimes they're too much of a jerk to tell you where you're lacking. And sometimes they just have the belief that you only do one thing. I've talked to a number of artists on my come up and still do sometimes that'll tell somebody, stay in your lane, do your art, do one style and do it well. And it's like, that's cool, but I get bored. Like I want to do a number of different things. So
Yeah.
interesting.
Oh, yeah.
I've been designing nothing
Boring.
but realism stuff mashed up with just the most primitive color. Like, here's a bunch of color around it. Not even like, oh, there's fun new school around it. It's just like, this is literally what I've been sitting and painting / designing the whole time we've been talking. And
Right.
it's just Wednesday Addams with like literally just color smashed around her. And I'm like, fuck it, let's do it. And my friends are dumb enough to let me do it on them. So yay. But in a year from now, I'll be like, I only want to do fucking gangster ass Big Me's lettering. And a year from that, it'll be
right.
It's all in seasons. We all,
And as a younger person, I used to get mad at recording artists when they changed their sound, and I'd get mad at new school artists. So many new school artists that I looked up to, and then one day they just want to do traditional, And I'm like, why? Why? Everything you did was so full of life and fucking dimension, and now you want to flatten everything. And like, I used to get mad at them, but now I totally understand. Because like, I got a ton of people that are like, oh yeah, blackouts are easy. That's why you like them. All right, cool. You do it. Tell me how easy it
Yeah,
is.
really.
Oof, yeah.
It's easy for me. Yes, it is easy because I enjoy it. But like,
I can understand the one after rendering something in 3D so much,
right,
trying to go back and rendering something in 2 dimensions again. It's
right.
not easy to switch
No,
back.
no, it's not.
And like,
So it
freaking
starts to
I-
present a
yeah.
challenge to them.
Yeah, yeah. And you just sometimes you like fucking Eternity Clone, and then sometimes you like, CK1. You know what I'm saying? Like you got to change up your smells every so often.
you can go to like any place now in modern times, and there's like all of these crazy dessert shops that have like $10 slices of pie that are delicious with like, the fucking milkshakes that are big now that have like a whole ass cupcake and stuff in it.
The ones from
And they're
fucking
awesome.
and Universal.
And I love that stuff. I have a huge sweet tooth. I try not to eat it every damn day, but like that stuff's great. If you come at me with the most basic, I made this with 4 ingredients, plain old chocolate chip cookie, this is probably like my favorite thing ever. Plain ass chocolate chip. They're so good. And if you don't have one for a while and you eat all this big rich stuff, you're like, damn, that chocolate chip cookie was good as fuck.
Right.
You absence makes the heart grow fonder, and it is such a thing that like when you haven't done a style in a while, or there's a certain kind of art you haven't messed with in ages, that you're like, this is good as fuck. This is fun. I appreciate it so much more because I missed it, and now it's back, and it's now I want to do some more of this.
Yeah, dude, it was cool. Like when Donna's best friend was in town and I did her blackout, she was fucking crying, like all emotional tears, like happy to get rid of these tattoos that were abuse tattoos and shit like that. And like, how the fuck are you going to tell me that you don't love an experience like that? Yes, I put one single dimensional layer of black on this person's arm, but I got just as much out of that experience as I would have designing a portrait of her children for her.
Yeah.
Like there's value in everything, like the fucking plain old 4 ingredient chocolate chip cookie. People love it for a reason, man. Like
I've eaten some burnt fucking shitty cookies in my day, and the metaphor for that being that like I have seen some real chewed up, awful heel, giant scabs everywhere, like some bad blackout or color saturation that like, ooh, that's going to need to be gone over for sure, but you're going to have to wait until that even heals, which is going to take months because you got super chewed up. The ability for anybody to be like, oh, you're just laying a bunch of black on them. Well, yeah, if you've got a fucking wide tip Sharpie, it's easy, but like you're using probably a rotary machine because there's not a lot of, or a coil machine because there's not a lot of rotaries that push. Are you really? What do you use that pushes? What is it? Damn.
Yeah.
That 123 was so gangster. That 123 fucking mag that you were using. That's crazy.
Yeah, dude, I talked to Dan, who owns Axis and creates the machines, and he was like, Robbie, you have blown my mind on what is possible with my machines. Thank you for that. And I'm like, cool, man. You want to fuck some shit up? You want to break it? You want to blow it up? You want to see if it can get broken and blowed up? Give it to me. I'll try it.
I love it because I can rock a 45 with my peak machine and it works, but I feel like if I put that 123 in there, it would definitely like maybe.
Well, from what I understand, the ink claw machines, that's the company I'm getting the needles from. The machine that they sell to push it has like a 2.5 millimeter stroke. And like, right, it doesn't make sense to me because I want it to run like a raped ape. I want it to be fucking disgusting. Like I want it to fucking pound. And so like that's how I get it in fast. I move my hand fast and the needle runs fast and hard and boom, boom, boom.
Yeah, it creates the suction that sucks the ink in much faster.
Right. So like I feel like most machines can actually run it. It's just a matter of how you tattoo.
Yeah.
So
and I admittedly use a 4.2 stroke. That peak that you used it when you did the Aurora stuff. I love that machine. It hits hard, but I do run it slower on my power supply so I don't chew people up. So that might be part of it, that I might just have to crank it to get it to throw that thing. But I might have to go buy some of those 123 mags and see.
Yeah, I think it's
But
like
the moral being,
$60 for a box.
for you to grab those and to lay into someone's arm for hours and to make it smooth and consistent and saturated and not chew them up, like that's a whole fucking talent right there that a lot of people don't
Seriously.
possess.
Right. And like I don't really realize that, but I do. You know, like I don't run around wagging my dick and being like, look at how good I am at this. I just know saturation's been one of the things I've always found very important. Like even on fucking crayon drawings, I don't want the paper showing through at all. You know, some people fucking lightly dust their crayon. No, bitch. I want to fucking wear this crayon down.
I'm blending that wax with other
Yeah.
colors, and I'm making sure it's solid.
You're gonna see a fucking layer of wax on this fucking piece of paper when I'm done. So
I'll
like
get
I
out
just-
the paper stumps if I have to.
right. I've always been real saturated, and that's just like something I enjoy doing. So like it works. So if you're watching this and something that feels simple like is your superpower, like embrace that superpower, because it is pretty cool that like I can do something that's not easy for everyone just as much as other people can do things that aren't easy for me. So it's just kind of nice to do something that feels good, that makes people feel good, and to enjoy something that like people want, even though it brings like truckloads of hate. Oh my God, you want to have a field day? Go to my TikTok and read the comments. It's fucking ridiculous. Most of the comments are, oh, they're trying to switch teams. They're just trying to say a word they can't say. Oh, they just want to be black. And I'm like, what the fuck are you? I'm telling you, the things that people say. So Instagram is my all love network. Very seldom do I have people coming on my Instagram and say, fuck you, you're a piece of trash. TikTok, everybody and their mother wants to tell you what a piece of trash you are. And Facebook is like kind of somewhere in between, whereas like it was all love until I started, like one of the blackout videos I did blew up to over 4 million views. So like a couple of people in there saying some dumb shit, but for the most part, like it's really good. So Facebook is like somewhere in between. TikTok is the Twitter of the fucking video internet world. And then like Instagram is like my safe space, happy space. But like one of my friends, she blew up on TikTok and she said TikTok was where the happy people were and Instagram was where the haters were. So it's really fucking weird to see the different levels of following you create. But I've been nurturing my Instagram following for almost 10 years now, or probably 10 years now. So like, I think sometimes the following you nurture is the one that treats you the best.
Yeah, I focus more on Instagram. I keep forgetting I have a TikTok. Tessa manages my TikTok for me. That's why.
So full disclosure, my oldest son, he manages my TikTok for me. And I've gotten a couple of videos before him, a couple like 100,000, 300,000 views, right? This guy's got me to a video that's over almost 4 million views now. Another video that's almost 3 million views, and another one that's a little over 1 million views. And this is all just from him, like curating the content in a way that like, it's similar to how I make my reels on Instagram, but he does it different. And fucking, like, the people love that shit and they fucking eat it up. And like, it's been really cool because I've been able to put some of his songs to some of my videos. And now we're getting, you know, a couple 100,000, couple million views to his music. And so it's helping push his stuff. So like as an artist, as a creative type, it is so cool that we have these avenues. And as an old guy, I was very against TikTok because like I'd get a win on TikTok and then they'd shadow ban me and I'd get like 100 views. So it just drove me nuts. He found this way to just keep it working and keep it moving to the point where he just said to me yesterday, he wants to like start managing other people's accounts because like he understands it. And I equated it to when me and him played Tony Hawk Pro Skater together. He can make 1,000,000-point combos and I can make 100,000-point combos.
Yeah.
And like, there's just certain things that he can do that I can't do. And it's really cool to like peek behind the curtain with that and then bring my kid into the creation process because he's an artist, you know, he's a musician. So like to have him a part of this and then me be a part of his stuff, it's just really cool. It's wonderful. I enjoy very much the way that life's blessings have been playing out. You know, for him moving to Florida was admitting defeat of the relationship that he was in. And now there's so much good in he and I's relationship, and he, myself, Donna, and the baby's relationship. Like, Donna treats him like her own child, and like that's a pain
She
point.
does.
She really does, dude. And like when she says things like Mama Donna and whatnot, like, or when he says that, like, I look at him like hoping that he's not going to feel weird, because man, he's had 2 moms bail on him. One of them came back, and the other one still isn't around. So like Jaden to have a mom type in his life. So, you know, having that relationship there, and, you know, me having a woman in my life that I can love, trust, honor, and respect, and know that that's going to be there for me. It's like, it's so cool. So him moving down here away from that relationship that didn't work has done so much for all of us and all of our own lives. It's really fucking great. Like, when we're at the convention, you remember Dusty, she was like, this is my son's music, this is my son's music.
Oh, she was like spamming tables after they closed with
Yeah.
flyers for him and stuff.
Dude, and
That's
like
awesome.
now she tells people, well, this is my stepson. I was like, why'd you start doing that? She goes, because when I say my son, I'm kind of young, so like I don't want them to think that I have a 9-year-old that I'm trying to push his music. Like, I want them to realize he's a man that makes music. And like, it wasn't because she
That's fair.
you know, like, it wasn't because she stopped wanting to call him son. It was a marketing technique, you know, and
Yeah.
and she still treats him like her child. So it's beautiful to see how relationships and things can change. And, you know, with this TV opportunity that I talked about, maybe that can help change certain paradigms in my past moving forward in the future. Who knows? But just interesting to see the way that things can change and the way people can show you that there is better out there than what you're used to and what you're scarred by. So, yeah, I know that was kind of an odd tangential thing, but you know, here we are at 6:30.
Finally pulled it from tattoos back to feelings. It worked.
Right, yeah. It is 6:32. I've got to pee like 1,000 humans. So I'm gonna
I
go
also
Oh,
have
no,
to
we
pee,
went over.
and I really want mozzarella sticks, so I get it.
you go get your mott sticks. I'm gonna go
Yeah,
make
I
peas,
just got
you
a
go
text
pee.
saying food was ready. So
Here we are. Perfect timing. Amber, thank you for being our honorary co-host all the time. Love the shit out of you. You're fucking
thank you
amazing.
for having me. I love you guys too.
Dusty, I love you. I appreciate you.
Don't forget to send me your addresses. Christmas
Yes.
surprises.
I will
Got
do
it.
that right now, in fact.
Yes. Got my phone in my hand. I'm gonna go to Instagram to the messenger right now. And boom. Cool. Got it. Now I can't
I'm on my
forget.
phone, so I won't do it for a minute, but it'll be here in just a second.
I have to do it right now because I'll forget. So yeah. All right. Thank you to Gabe, Guy,
Reinventing.
Dave, the technological god.
yeah, right. Everyone from Reinventing, thank you so much. We appreciate having a place where we can go talk about feelings and, you know, venture into the unknown of the emotions of the tattooer, where not a lot of us do. Yes, you are allowed to talk about feelings. You are allowed to have feelings. You are allowed to cry. You are allowed to scream. You are allowed to feel. So thank you, everyone that helps make this possible. Thank you, everyone that watches and participates. As always, I am Robbie Ripoll. He is Dusty Pitstick. If you want more of this stuff from me, the Rad Movement on YouTube all day, every day. I'm actually going to make my Monday post after I go pee. So I will be making a video shortly after this. So thank you all for tuning in. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you, Reinventing, Gabe, Guy, and everyone else that's a part of it. Much love to all of y'all, and see you soon.